Nova Scotia toilet is hard to figure out. I get it.
He thinks it's 11:18. I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you want? You back out here, or you fly up in the weekend?
Just pop in for the weekend.
We don't want him here all the time.
No,
By Sunday, it's like, can you please quit? Can you go back? We're in no rush. We're going up to the start right in the club. Yeah.
Are they streaming? We can ice you out as long as we can. Johnny's taking shit.
Going all across here now.
That's his pregame right. Plays terrible club, but needs to run out of Sup, bitches. There's no room for it in that body.
Whatever you think.
The way it's written, if you pick side, you go for it.
Okay. That means you have to go first?
That's the way it's written.
Oh, we get to play the side.
Perfect. Like, it'll be the same regardless.
It's confident, huh?
Yeah, I don't really see them.
He just said, let's get fucking going.
Yeah, it's just not curling.
We were in Red Rock, second class this stuff.
Watch the turning.
I'll throw, we're all going to throw interns today. This is sweet. Yeah.
Take your Annie in? Yeah. It's always like the intro, I'm like, my intro. Yeah. Fucking Latin.
This only have one.
Oh, we do? Oh, tonight? Oh, right now, yeah, okay. wait for the time.
Cashspiel and then play down first garden. Haven't really talked to him since we played.
Yeah. Alright, fuck it, let's go.
Have a good one, guys.
Welcome to the afternoon draw at the Mayflower Curling Club. We are watching the Dave Jones Cup. We're joining action a few rocks into this end. Looks like second stones are being played now.
So that's Pam Sullivan we got on the mic. I'm Selena Thompson, and we want to thank everyone for joining us. And in particular, we'd love to thank our sponsors, Stanhope Simpson Insurance and Alexander Keith's Brewery. We see Mark Robar coming out of the hack there. Second for Team Fitzner-LeBlanc. It's a good time to introduce the teams. Fitzner-LeBlanc throwing the yellow stones. We've had the play in the house this end, so lead for Fitzner-LeBlanc, Jeff Wilson. Had a draw and a hit there, and then Mark Robar throwing second stones. Third is Cameron McKenzie, and of course skipper Ian Fitzner-LeBlanc making his return to Nova Scotia curling this year. He's had a couple years off in Ontario, and back with this new team this year, and I'll let Pam introduce you to Team McDonald.
For Team McDonald, we have lead Scott Chadwick, who has thrown his rocks, and we're now seeing Wesley Forget come out of the hack now. Third stones will be Jonathan Buke. I don't know if I know how to say that.
I think it's Buke.
Buke.
We'll check with him.
And skip Scott McDonald.
So Team Fitzner-LeBlanc had an interesting last couple ends this morning, playing Mark Dacey, and ended up with the win, although Ian had to make a shot against 4 to the 4 foot for that win. Team McDonald had an interesting one as well. Pam and I were on the call for a different game, but we were keeping an eye on those other games. Scott McDonald was playing Jason Vaughn and had to make a similar great shot in the last end into the 4 foot for the win on that one. So nice to have both these teams with one win under their belts. And this is the 4th draw of the Spiel. We have both a women's and a men's event going on, but of course right now we're featuring one of the men's games. So winning this will put them into the semi, or sorry, this is the semi for the qualifier spot in the A brackets.
And so, Selena, I think this is, for the men, it's a triple knockout type
It
of
is,
format?
yeah, triple knockout format.
And the women are doing more so of a round robin, I think, with a couple of different pools?
2 pools of 5, 4 games guaranteed for the women. And with the men, there are 15. Should double check how many teams there are actually. 16 teams. That makes it a lot easier for that triple knockout format. So very open end here. We've seen a little different than this morning, isn't it? We had the first end this morning on all sheets, lots of rocks in play, and we're seeing a little bit less of that now. Teams taking a bit more time to get comfortable with the ice, maybe warm things up.
That's right, just play a little cautious to start with, and as you say, get a feel for the curl and the paths and all that kind of good stuff.
And as I'm introducing Team Fitzner to you, and I'm reading the names off the sheet, but I realized earlier there is a spare, and we missed him because it's the lead. So Jeff Wilson's off this afternoon. He was here this morning, but we've got Brad Wilson, conveniently with the same last name, but unrelated as far as I know, who is sparing for him. I just looked at the screen and thought, oh, that's not Jeff, that's Brad.
We wouldn't have missed that little tidbit had we seen those first few rocks.
Exactly. But we were so busy watching, and it's a good time to introduce. If you were with us there, you saw the promo. Of course, our broadcast partner, the Curling Store, that's bringing you the live stream along with Strong Coffee Media. A campaign running, and if you want to use on social media the hashtag #WhyWeCurl, we've been collecting photos, and those are what were put together for that nice little intro package that Strong Coffee Media did for us. So we had a rollout there from Fitzner LeBlanc's team, and then was looking for the corner guard, but slipped into the rings. So the hit and roll played there from Cameron McKenzie.
And a wee little roll gets that rock on the rings as well. So this end will go along very quickly, playing all these hits. Not a lot of strategy in play, certainly no use of the 5-rock rule yet.
No, then that's, we mentioned this morning again, the 5-rock rule going to be coming up as a point of interest, I think, as all the teams adjust to competitive play with that rule. If you're not familiar with it, it means that guards in play, the free guard zone extends to the 5th rock, so it really protects that second corner guard that the team with hammer can put up.
So we're just looking for a hit here, I think. Looks like he's going to roll away. So appeal, really. And a nice, clear and open end here. And this is Scott McDonald's first in this end, first in the first.
Good chance to get the draw path. The team's 4 hammer through draws to the button, but they did it throwing the other direction, so coming home toward the glass. And in the first end, and all the odd ends, the teams are throwing away from the glass. So with that rollout from Ian, Scott has a nice chance to just throw a free draw. He's not super worried about placement in the rings, other than making sure it is in the rings. That's important.
Gives you a good chance to really feel good about your draw weight early in the game without a lot of pressure. So it's a nice, nice opportunity for him.
Sweepers aren't on this one, though, and they're backing off. Might think it's a little heavy. It's coming in on its own. Just sticks around at the very back of the 12-foot.
Just for a wee little nibble.
Ian would like to stick around on this one, although it's so far in the back of the rings that it's hard to stay, but
I think he did.
there we go.
So, of course, Ian would love to have Scott McDonald stick on his next and force the one, but I'm sure they're looking to roll away.
Yeah, he'll be looking for the peel,
Hold on
roll
to
out
him.
here.
Yeah. So I bet a few of these teams that we see here today we'll see again at the for the Tankard later this year. I would
Yeah,
think.
a lot of the Nova Scotia teams here would be vying for that title. For now, they're playing for cash. This one looks great.
It did its job, and we're off to the second end with a blank in. So hammer stays with Team McDonald.
And if you're just tuning in now, we want to thank you for joining us here at the 2018 Dave Jones Mayflower Cashspiel. I'm Selena Thompson, joined by Pam Sullivan. We've had a double header today, Pam. Thanks for joining me. This is Team McDonald out of Kingston, Ontario, taking on Team Fitzner LeBlanc out of Halifax, Nova Scotia.
And I think that's our first look at Brad Wilson replacing Jeff Wilson on lead position for Team Fitzner LeBlanc. Right to the lid.
They use hand signals that I'm not used to. That's usually a control weight call there, but I didn't know what some of those other things were. I thought they were contemplating a guard.
It can be a great idea to use those hand signals. It gets very noisy
Yes.
out there. You can even hear through our mic system a lot of activity in the background.
Absolutely. I find it hard often to hear the sweepers calling the weight. Now, we do use hand signals for weight calls, and sometimes you'll show the distance between two rocks based on how far your hands are apart on the broom, but might be good to introduce some more hand signals as people get louder and louder when they yell.
We have, 4 men's teams and 2 ladies teams on. And a lot of big men's voices can make it hard on the gals to be heard.
It's true.
Although that's not being proven right now.
It's not at the dire ends of the games, or the ends of the games. So interesting, now they're switching to the corner guard. I think now because the stone in the rings is off center, trying to get something going. Don't often see this later in the end. Normally we see it on lead stones, and you give yourself more chance to bail out if need be.
Sweepers have their heads down on this one. Looking for a
Really
fairly
need to work to get it over. I think we'll see this for the first stone in any path as well. So this is the first time throwing home going inside out. They threw their draws to the button outside in. This is a different turn. It's a guard though, it's in play.
It sure is.
It's high.
Yep.
We got Mark Robar. So that's not Jeff Wilson, that's Brad Wilson on the right-hand side.
I didn't see where Ian Fitzner LeBlanc had signaled, but it looks like they have a pretty good draw weight there.
trying to keep the play over to the wings on the side without the guard. It's so high that he doesn't necessarily want to peel it, although the peel would have been an option. Team McDonald trying to keep the red stone in play here. They want to hit this right on the nose so that the red can't be removed with ease. With the type of weight that these teams can throw, there's enough separation that the red could go. So Mark will have a go at it. But a good shot from Wesley.
Looks like he came out with a good push, so this is moving quickly.
Needs to make contact with the red stone, though.
Whew.
Just got it. Didn't know that you could pick that.
That was pretty nice. So I'll just take a minute to thank our sponsors, Alexander Keith's Brewery, as well as the Rockhead Wine and Beer Market, and Stanhope Simpson. Without our sponsors, this would be a pretty difficult show to pull off.
So instead of trying any kind of a freeze, just a straight hit, we've still got that guard out front for Team McDonald, so we'll keep an eye on that. I don't know that it'll come into play, but Kitchener-LeBlanc's team would like to keep it out of play.
Absolutely.
And they'll roll that one a little bit further to the wings.
That's in a new spot now. I always like that. Make the other team give a little thought about how much ice and weight to throw at something.
They're calling pretty tight ice for these hits, and in this case, looking for a big roll, trying to move it back. So really good effort there from Jonathan Buke. And in similar fashion, Ian would like Cameron to have this roll away again. A little bit of a game they'll play.
Is he looking to go under the guard, or is he looking to go open?
No, to the open side,
okay.
Yeah. Though this one is hanging, they don't want it to roll out. Should stick around. Came up to half a rock there and rolled back. So with every roll, the rock that is thrown, that rolls, is getting a little further back. I think I'm starting to figure out their hand signals. Looks like, you know, kind of arm across, the same weight, throw it the same way.
Yep.
I like that. You can learn something.
And that one's away. Is it out of play? It is indeed.
Yeah, rolled out. They wanted it to stick around. They wanted to put it way over to the wings. There was way more ice called on that stone than the last. So now Ian's going to try and make use of that guard and prevent a blank. So we saw a blank in the first for Team McDonald, but Ian's going to draw behind that guard and try and make it harder to blank for Scott McDonald. Try and force a point.
Sweepers are on and off here. That's often a good sign.
Yeah, they need this to cross the center line. The guard is on the other side of center.
But I don't think they want to sweep it any further than it is. That might be partially covered from the other half.
Center line maybe next one? Center line next one? Well, it didn't move in. Little bit, yeah.
So in this case, for Scott, he'd like to stick around. With only 3 stones remaining, including this one, not a great chance for 2, and not a great chance to roll to a good spot. I guess that's partially buried. We can see there from the hack, but pretty good chance to get it and stick around. If that were higher in the rings and more open, you'd try and roll behind the center guard, but in this case, you just want to stick around in the back there.
Yes, you don't want to roll out and it's getting close to the back of the house. This needs to curl.
Hanging on the center line. That did not want to cross. So.
He had good rotation and it just really hung straight on him.
We watched, Pam and I watched the earlier game on this sheet, and we didn't notice a lot of hits played up the center line like that. No, I can't remember a single shot.
No.
A little bit of a new path for us, too. So Ian will put this one in the top of the rings so that if Scott were to hit it, the shooter wouldn't be shot. It doesn't need to be buried in order to force. He just needs to sit 2.
And then that forces the other skip, hopefully, to have to draw and get in that tighter scoring zone.
Just needs to be in. Good job from the sweepers. I'll give them the credit for that shot. Brad and Mark.
Such a big help when your sweepers can judge with such great precision when they need to sweep for weight.
Coming up, I got 15 and a half. I know you swept it end to end, but 14 and a half will get you there. Like your guard that you threw like came in, I was like on your hand like we're a little light. The only thing that might not be is this, right? Because we haven't thrown there.
So this is the cold draw to the 4-foot. Now it's out a little wider than Scott would probably like, and that's the reason that Ian threw his stone up front. A little more ice than I think we saw earlier today, but these teams haven't had the benefit of watching 8 ends. Or 7. How many ends did we watch? 7?
Yeah. Now
we didn't even watch 8.
This will be a fresh path out here. It won't be as quick as the last draw that we saw, the last 2 actually.
So sweepers keeping their brooms down to make sure it doesn't get caught in the frost. They want to make sure it doesn't get hung up. Looks like it'll
drag that in a distance yet.
So they outcounted the top one, but it is a steal of 1 for Fitzner LeBlanc, so they'll take a 1-0 lead. Continue to not have hammer, and McDonald will keep that hammer, but down 1 this time, going into the second end. Third end. Thanks, Pam. Forgot about the blank.
Yeah.
I'm sure our viewers at home probably picked that up too.
I'm anxious to see if these teams will get some 5-rock guards in place this time.
Yeah, well, the team that's up typically will put their first one in, so it's up to Scott to call the guard. But he was trying to do that last end. I like to see it because it brings rocks into play and angles and shot options.
Gets everybody thinking a little bit more. So this one's just behind, really just back behind the button. And we are, in fact, looking for a corner guard here. And both of these teams played with a lot of rocks in play earlier today, from what I recall, just glancing at a few of their ends.
They did, yeah, even when they didn't necessarily want to. Neither of them scared of rocks in play, not scared to throw the last rock. Chadwick Farms on, wonder if they're related to lead Scott Chadwick.
I'm thinking. I'm thinking there's a relationship there. That's a tight guard. Right on the 8-foot line there. This needs to do a little curling unless it's coming now. There we go. It stayed relatively straight most of the way down and just swung a bit at the end.
Yeah, it's nice to have the two in the rings, though. The team without Hammer isn't worried about too many center guards. I think that is a change that we are seeing with the 5-rock, is it fewer center guards. Maybe I'm just noticing that today, but I'm finding I tend to not call the center guard as much now because I just assume that we're going to get one corner guard and we'll have rocks in play. They want to keep this on the high side, so Jonathan's on it to get the roll. Maybe got it almost under. I don't think it's tucked. It's visible, but one of the yellow stones is out of the ring, so that's good news.
And its position means it'd be pretty difficult to roll behind the wood with this yellow stone. Robar is following his shot down, wants to see the results. Oh, I see.
And while Wesley's getting ready to throw here, I just want to remind everyone that we do have a full spiel going on. It's we've got 5 other games on the ice right now, as you can probably hear from some of the shouts, some enthusiastic players. In the women's event, Kristen McDermott's taking on Julie McAvoy right now. Everyone seems to be playing the third end. And Veronica Smith playing Colleen Jones. And the other men's games on the ice are Scott Webb versus Francois Gagné, Martin Crett taking on Jamie Murphy, and Chad Stevens playing Stuart Thompson. You can check out all of the scores. We are doing live scoring on worldcurl.com and Curling Zone. We're not that good at keeping you updated because we're paying such good attention to our game.
And of course, if you don't want to watch it on the streaming, you can come down and watch any game you'd like to watch. Tickets are $5 for an event, or $5 for a single event, or $15 for the whole event. So lots of great curling to see this weekend.
And the kitchen and bar are open. Even for breakfast,
right.
The kitchen's open.
Make a night of it.
With breakfast food.
Night. Well, with breakfast food.
They have other food other than breakfast at night.
Yes.
I was just happily surprised to see breakfast sandwiches and cereal on this morning. All right, so we had a roll out there. We still have the corner guard in play and 1 stone in the rings. And I should have asked how to pronounce Wesley's last name. I'm going to assume it's French, and it might be Forget.
Okay. That could be.
Someone can go on the Facebook page and correct me if I'm wrong. You can follow us on our Mayflower Facebook page, Mayflower CC. And there's an event, the Dave Jones Cashspiel. We're posting updates from the draws as well as links to the stream, so you can hop on there and watch. And you can also tag yourself in a photo using the hashtag #WhyWeCurl. And that's part of the Nova Scotia Curling Association's event going on, the Why We Curl. So with that wreck on the guard from Team McDonald, left a red stone in the ring, but now a chance there. And Cameron making his shot successfully to sit 2. But still a chance to generate some points here for Team McDonald. Try and get a roll here.
It's always interesting. It's always a risk when somebody puts up the guard and the other team puts the first 2 rocks in the house. You know, that you're looking towards the halfway through the end or further, and you think, oh dear. You know, the other team is sitting 2 rocks.
Why did I put up that guard? But there are rocks in play, and
Yeah.
they're usually not going to be right around the center line.
That's
So
right, of course.
you can get some rolls and have some angles going on.
And you can get the odd miss, as we saw in the last end as well. So here at the Mayflower, we offer competitive and recreational curling at just about every level. We have day curling, I think 4 days a week, and we have evenings every night of the week. There's a different league being played. So if you would ever like to try curling, come on down to the Mayflower. We even have an afternoon, Wednesday afternoons, we do for the next few weeks a free curling session for Learn to Curl for seniors.
And I hear it's going great.
It
We
is,
got some
yeah.
slide curlers and some stick curlers, so it's, if you think you can't curl, you're wrong. So Team McDonald was going for the double there, but rolled out. So on to skip stones. Ian Fitzner-LeBlanc will just draw open.
And he would like to keep, I think, his rock probably even with his other one just to prevent a double. Sweepers jumped on that pretty quickly. But they're managing that rock nicely. As I say, I think they want that to be about even.
Yeah, even would be great. Scott wants nothing but to try and throw the double, but that looks like pretty makeable in this case. Even rolling in front of it, it's all right. And I think he's playing the in-turn, which should mean he's probably looking for the more flat angle to roll instead of double.
And if he does stick there, that starts to give him the opportunity for his 2. Oh, there's a hand signal with a finger pointed up in the air. I'm not sure what that one meant, but
My educated guess would be weights up.
lights up. Yeah, I think so too.
They might be switching for the double now. There we go. Nice shot.
Well played, nice angle. I'd say they're going for the blank at this point.
Definitely. That's why it's so hard to, when you have a player that can throw, or a team that throws shots like that, the draw that Ian threw looks great. The stone that remains, it's in the rings, but it was just far enough back that that shot was there, and not a lot of forgiveness.
And it takes a lot of practice to get those shots away, not only just from the thrower, but from the person in the house calling the line to get the precise angle, and the sweepers to know how hard to do their part as well. Definitely team shots for those sort of things to be successful.
So just like in the first end here, we'll see a big weight. Looking for the roll out to the wings. And that's made no problem. So Scott McDonald with the blank.
So we remain 1-0 after 3 ends of play. And Team McDonald will have the hammer for the 4th end in a row.
I mean, if they hang on to it all the way till the 8th and get 2, they'll win. As long as they don't give up any steals.
I guess.
So it's one way to do it.
Oh, that's a hard old strategy.
It's a very difficult strategy. You can never guarantee that you'll be able to blank an end.
We have a top 12. It doesn't matter to Scott McDonald. He's calling the corner guard either way.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't make a play on that. It's not a scoring risk at this point.
And it would be hard for your own rock to count.
Yeah. You could hit it and leave your shooter out front, but then it's a center guard, not quite ideal.
That's right. Right on the Orange Theory logo for their corner guard, nicely placed.
So they're looking for the bump up, the tap. I want to keep this one on the nose.
Curled a bit. Nice weight though.
Would love to have just nosed that back and not quite behind the tee line either to keep those stones up front. Scott going right around, or asking Scott. Scott asking Scott, sorry.
Oh, it is, isn't that
to go right around the corner.
Sweeper trying to coax that to curl in behind the corner guard, I think. When the second one jumps on for weight. Looks partially covered right to the, almost well, touching the tee line.
Mark can see enough that he'll go for it. Once it breaks off the line, it really does move. We noticed that this morning. They were calling whoa, although the play is the down weight, and actually got the roll behind the guard, so really nice shot.
That is a nice shot. Really, all they can do with that is corner freeze it, I think, to make a play on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's over buried, we can see. So similar weight would be nice on this one.
It's curling. Is it going to get by the guard? Ooh, just a piece of paper there.
And that's what you need there. We're not getting a ton of finish. Actually didn't end up being second shot. Well, that's all right. It's behind the guard. Really wanted that to actually curl a little bit less. Might be hard to bring it into play. Now this is going to be a new path here, the wide come around.
I don't think they were out quite that far in the second end. Was it the last rock that they threw out?
Right, no, they were coming around a centerline rock.
Yeah.
Let's see what Mark can do. So nice weight, didn't get the curl that they necessarily were expecting. And if that's open behind the guard, which we can see that it is, a roll is available. It's a bit tough. It's hard. You don't want to play a shot that gives the other team an opening, and that's exactly what that did.
And it can be hard to place those rocks, that it avoids all complication.
Exactly. But you never want to just throw it away either.
No, absolutely not. This is tight to the guard, and he gets a little roll, I think. Yes, indeed.
So it's a big roll, but it'll just go past. And I don't think that's out counting the second shot Yellowstone either. Unfortunately, if it was, that would be good. It would bring the play over to that side.
Yeah, but from our angle, I agree.
Little thicker. And a little thinner would have caught on the back yellow, so they were caught in between on that one. Tough break.
So they're continuing to throw to the left side of the sheet as we look at it here to try to distract from all the rocks on the other side, I think.
Exactly.
They don't want him to get behind his red behind any of the guard that he has out front.
I also think they're seeing more finish with this way than coming across the center line. So again, maybe the first stone warmed this path up a little bit because that one didn't curl much either. It's getting a little bit of finish. It almost ended up in the same spot. So I think we'll see a similar shot here.
Not a lot of ice called, so he's not anticipating a lot of curl, that's for sure. Sweepers are at the ready.
And that one hit on the nose, so didn't come up quite as much.
A board weight hit has been called. They're hoping, of course, to flop in behind the yellow guard out in front.
And this one seems to be running a bit too. Actually hits on the outside of the stone.
Spun back in a little bit, but still not for a shooter. Still we have yellow, yellow, red for shot.
But what that does do is opens up the option to play around that other side of the sheet. It's hard to bury there, though, behind those two staggered stones in the house. And we've seen it's hard to bury around that tight rock. It's notoriously hard to bury around rocks that are tight to the rings. Could try and freeze on that Yellowstone. I just don't know. The Yellowstone at the back, 8 foot. I just don't quite know how you'd get to it because both paths are blocked by stones out front. One option would be to hit the yellow and roll in front of the red.
That might not be bad, actually. Yeah, that yellow rock is really in. You might be able to come at it. Yeah.
I think this is the call for the draw.
Yeah, I think so.
I just, it looks tough to me. And we've seen some rocks really dive at that corner guard.
This looks like it has a bit of weight, though. Close. Well done.
That's the second time, so they are. I was wondering if they were going to play off their own. I don't know if it rolled quite enough. They tried to get big roll, and they actually, or big curl.
Shot even yet.
They curled it too much.
Yeah. So they're still sitting third and fourth. It looks like from
really good effort. They needed to keep that a bit straighter, hold the line, and roll in front of that mess.
But it is curling well over on that side. Quite a few rocks in play. You want to be careful you don't give them a setup for getting rid of any of your yellows here.
Yeah, that's the risk. There's guards in play. There's rocks in play. There's still 2 stones for red to come. There's a chance for 2. So the call is just to come in the top house, try and bury a piece. Sit 3. It is close between the red and the yellow, but does look like yellow, doesn't it?
For second shot, you mean?
Yeah, for second. Yellow's definitely shot.
Yeah. I have a monitor here that I know we're supposed to look at, but I keep catching myself looking over the glass into the house.
Yes, we are sitting behind the sheet, so we have a little bit of a different angle in some cases. So that one doesn't come for third shot, but it does kind of block the draw that Scott would have. So I think he's trying a very similar shot here, maybe with a bit more weight. And what this will do is the red stone that is to the left of Jonathan's broom. I think Scott will be coming down, tapping that, rolling a shooter to the center, and trying to spin the hit rock off of there. He's starting to show us.
That was thoughtful of him.
I think he was going to spin it off the red. Maybe he'll play a bit more weight on this and get more action. Let's tighten up the broom a little bit. This is Scott McDonald's first of his 2 stones in the 4th end. Looking at a busy house. It's been an interesting end.
Will it roll too far?
This has been a series of extremely close shots by this team. I don't know that they got shot out of that.
I don't know if they did or not.
A really good effort again.
It still looks to me like it's yellow.
Yeah, I think yellow is shot, so Ian's just thinking, okay, what does he have for 2? Probably right now, Scott has the same type of shot for the 2nd point. So has he decided on promoting his own little tap up?
That was the last thing that I saw, but it...
They talk and they change their minds and they don't tell us. These darn
No.
curlers aren't telling us what they're doing.
I think that looks like the shot. And this is one of those moments when the hand signals are used.
Exactly.
This looks a little heavy.
Promotes it, but... And it is. So is there a shot? Can Scott play just a tap back on that yellow? And
Did he get 3? No.
I think the yellow on the side
A second.
is
Or
out
third,
counting.
yeah.
And that's why it's so important. They're always looking and trying to get their shots closer, but yeah, too bad. But there is a shot for 2 here, so miss there from Ian opens up the door for 2 points.
Scott McDonald delivering his final stone in the 4th end here at the Dave Jones Cashspiel from the Mayflower Curling Club.
One hung out there. They need to make contact with the yellow and stick around. Does the trick for 2.
Very nice. He held onto his hammer long enough to get his 2. Good for him. Finally a change of strategies probably for both teams.
It's true. So that leaves us after a score of 2 in the 4th there for Scott McDonald. He'll lead 2-1 over Ian Fitzner-LeBlanc, and we will be back with 4th end action in a bit.
interesting. Can you hear me? Yeah. I was going to say it's interesting because we get to hear all the noise from the ice shed. And normally when you sit behind the glass here, you don't get that intimate feeling. You don't hear what's going on to the same degree. And it's very nice to be out there hearing the action live.
It's, I think there's a lot more communication than a lot of viewers realize happens.
Exactly.
They're always talking about times and splits and paths and how someone threw the rock and what happened. I heard Team McDonald there just chatting about where he made contact with the red and yellow stones and, you know, liveliness.
All information that they need to throw and get their next shots exactly where they want.
You learn it the first time, you make educated guesses and hope that it's consistent for the rest of the game.
Which it isn't usually.
Things change, yes. So, got a couple more rocks in play already this end than we started with in the other ends. Center guard up from Team McDonald, corner guard a tight corner from Team Fitzner-LeBlanc.
And I didn't see an indication whether they're looking for another guard or if they're looking to come around here. I would think the come around.
I think the come around is what was called here, but looks like enough weight for that. They're not in a steel mode, so I wouldn't expect the second center guard. Yeah, this one's heavy.
He's going to use his corner guard instead of their center guard. May as well use it if you put it up.
Like to see that when you put up a corner and use it. Especially given that there's no other stone in the ring, so you're not trying to contend with a rock on the forefoot and freezing to it.
Right.
Good chance to actually use your corner with no risk of the other team having a stone in there right now. So waiting for this to start to curl so they can finish. We'll see both sweepers go on it just to try and get every last inch of travel and thus curl out of the stone. Not seeing that ton of finish. If we noticed this in the other game, not an incredible amount of finish on the inside out path here. They're curling off the center line and then straightening up a little bit.
Well, that's a fairly tight guard and probably about half buried from the hack, do you think?
Yeah, yeah, I think it's more open from the hack than even half.
Sweeper's working
This
hard
one's
to try to keep it straight.
Curling a lot, and they can't remove that guard yet.
So you see on your screen there, one of the sweepers put his broom down right where the rock was so they would know where to replace it. That's, for those who are new to the 5 rock rule, it's good to remember what number rock you're on and
Yeah.
don't take it out too soon.
So in last year, that would have been an okay shot, allowable, but this year, because that was the 5th rock that was being thrown, could not remove the 4th rock guard. I wondered too if the stone was put back in the wrong place. I think it was a little closer to the center line. And this is very good sportsmanship of Team Fitzner-LeBlanc letting the other team know that the guard isn't put back in the wrong place.
And it is up to the owner of the rock to decide where, they were fouled, we'll say, by having their rock removed. So they do certainly get to agree.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking it was the opposite. Their rock was the one that was fouled, so they put it back.
Getting a little quick down that path. I think that's the second one we saw slip a little deep on that turn, on that particular path. Must be speeding up a little bit. So they're trying the hit again here. This time if the guard goes, it can stay gone. But the sweeper is really working hard at this. I think it looks like it's going to bump into the guard again. And they'll get a nice little roll in.
Yeah, so that works really well. Would have been nice to be able to do that on the last one, but Wesley's able to replicate it.
I don't think, was that their plan A, do you think,
No,
Selena?
not plan A. No, they would like to contact the one in the rings.
Robar has been asked to remove that red rock, and we have both sweepers giving that a scrub. It's pretty good from my angle.
I'd like to get this under the guard so it avoids the yellow stone at the back, and what a good shot.
That was a beaut. I don't think it could have been much better than that.
No, Team McDonald does not really have a choice here, which is why we see the run back. He doesn't have hammer, and he's looking at 3 yellow counters in the rings right now.
So we have third Jonathan Buke. Putting a little bit of a run back here. One.
Almost made contact with the back stone. Still a good effort.
It was close to clipping, that's for sure. I'm not sure. I think 2 yellow are still shot 1 and 2, I think, from what I can see.
Yeah, I don't think, even though it's not shot, I don't think Ian can afford to have Cameron ignore that red stone. It's promotable, it's usable, it's in front of the tee line.
Scoring zone right in that center area. Yeah,
for all of these reasons, it needs to be dealt with.
Get a nice little roll off to the side there and send it out the back door.
Yeah, a nice separation of the yellow stones as well.
He's looking towards that angle, but it's a long distance.
Very, very flat, yeah. Even if it rolls behind the center guard would be great.
Yes.
I'm going to say that one looked a little tight on the throw, but they swept it out. Going to get the double here. Oh, my.
Boy.
What a great shot from Jonathan Buke.
So much for my thought that it looked like a long distance.
Well, when you can throw that weight and hit it that accurately. My goodness, that looked tight out of his hand, though. They just swept the
He had lots of weight on it, I think. You know, that helped it stay straight as well.
Absolutely. So the risk of 3 is starting to go away. But Team Fitzner still looking good for a couple if Cameron can roll this under protection. He just gets the nose there. So we're down to skip stones. I think Scott's probably okay with giving up 2 at this point. He'd like to roll under the... No, they're lining up the double. I thought he might save that till his last.
No time like the present, I guess.
It's true. This team does play a lot of up weight. I was watching them a little bit in their earlier game and saw some nice, some really nice shots actually. And we just saw one on Jonathan's last. Have to hold this high side. Just misses.
Boy, that was so close.
So now it's a draw, and that is the risk of going for the double, the slash double. Your shooter is going to roll out. So it gives, with the double being missed, it gives Ian the chance to draw around cover. The back stone will be open, which is the good news for Team McDonald. And if this doesn't curl enough, there might be a double, but this one looks like it's coming.
Yes, with the roll away, it leaves you more exposed.
So they got that partially buried. I think Scott will be hitting the back one. Tough to line that up. I think Ian was trying to do just that and kind of make it difficult to remove either yellow without leaving a chance for two. So you can see there's a little bit of air between the two yellows. If Scott can hit and roll to the 4-foot behind this yellow stone, but he's got to play that so close to the front rock that it's puts it at risk of ticking. So hit and stay there would be good. You'll probably concede the 2 in that case. And if the line looks good, I think they'll probably try and roll it.
Yeah, the roll just makes getting the 2 that much more difficult, for sure.
The rocks are all staying a little bit straighter than Team Pfitzner-LeBlanc's. So it's a hit and stay, and I think yellow is still shot. Ian could play the draw to the 4-foot, but looks like he's electing to hit.
Well, he just threw the shot, didn't he, on his last one?
Ian?
Yeah.
He threw the draw. The
Oh,
draw,
that's right.
the
Yeah, yeah.
yellow on the top 8-foot. Maybe they think this one's shot. They didn't look at the other one.
Well, sometimes when it's close, you don't want to take the chance.
Ian brought the weight down a little bit. They are getting a bit more curl, but it's that just off nose, and that'll be good for 2.
So after 5 ends, we are at 3-2 in favor of Ian Pfitzner-LeBlanc.
And if you haven't heard us mention it before and you're just tuning in and haven't a clue what you clicked on, you are watching the 2018 Dave Jones Mayflower Cashspiel, presented by Stanhope Simpson Insurance and Alexander Keith's Brewery. And you are watching us live stream courtesy of our sponsor, the Curling Store, and via broadcast partner Strong Coffee Media and our good friend Sean Seneschal, who's working the cameras. We really, really appreciate it. I'm sure viewers at home are happy to see your favorite teams in HD. I don't know anything about the camera side of things, but this looks pretty good to me.
Looks good to me, too.
So thank you, Sean.
Good throw, Ian. Real nice.
And we had a neat little video promo at the start, and I think we'll see it at the end as well. Or the Nova Scotia Curling Association is using the hashtag #WhyWeCurl. And you post a photo of yourself on social media and use that hashtag, and we'll pick it up and try and incorporate it in future material for Nova Scotia curling. And we've got a lot of good and fun and interesting entries. I think I saw some people who had their figure skates out on the curling ice at a post-season skating party that a lot of clubs do. But most of the year we just use it for curling.
But in the summer, we use it for roller derby.
In the summer, we use it for roller derby. We have friends, the Anchor City Rollers, who hang out here in the summer, and there's no ice. There's a roller derby, and they did a few roller discos this year. It's actually really fun at the Mayflower. We have lots of different events. And tomorrow night, Saturday at 8:30, we have karaoke, and it's free, so come on out. Pick your favorite song. We have awesome DJs. You can actually submit your song online. There's a website or an app you can use to submit your song, and you don't even have to go, you know, let everyone know you're going to do a song. You just put it on your phone, and then you get called up to the stage. And we have 3 microphones, so you can bring your 2 best friends up.
That's great.
You can be 3/4 of ABBA.
And our bar and kitchen will be open tomorrow night as well, so
should be a good
everything
party.
you need for a good time.
All right, back to business. 6th end.
So we have 2 yellow rocks in play, and Team McDonald looking to get rid of something here.
Love to stick that shooter over on the side, and they do. So Team McDonald's got a corner guard out front. A nicely placed stone there from Brad Wilson on his first top button. That's still in play.
Team McDonald with hammer in this end, so Fitzner LeBlanc is looking to remove those red rocks. Don't want to have any counters in play as the game goes on from the red team.
That was a good job from Mark Robar to roll back toward the center line. We're going to see Scott McDonald try, and he's doing it right now. Sometimes you'll have the call for the double, but in this case, he's being very patient. He'll leave that stone in the button area and try and roll the shooter here from Wesley Forget over toward the guard. I don't think Wesley puts his back foot on the ice when he slides.
Really?
He was up in the air.
Wow. I didn't notice that. Oh, this looks, no, it's nose. He would like to take advantage, I think you're right, of that corner guard that they put out a few shots ago. But I'll have to wait for his next stone at this point.
Mark might have thrown a little more weight than he had intended. It's not curling as much as they wanted, and the shooter will roll out, I think. Ooh.
Did it spin back? Yeah,
No, it didn't spin in. Sometimes we see them, they kind of look like they're wobbling. They're kind of catching the pebble, and they'll spin right back in.
That can be very maddening, depending which team you're on. So it looks like Scott McDonald has signaled for the draw around the corner guard, ignoring the one on the button again.
I like this. They had originally called a hit and roll, but the shooter would have rolled behind the tee line, and that's not ideal because then it's easy for Team Fitzner LeBlanc to freeze on top of it and take the end away. So that one was a little surprising. They were late on the sweep call because the weight looked okay.
I think we saw in the last game it curling really well from center out on this side, and it was underestimated a few times.
Well, even Team McDonald in this game, they've had a couple that they've just squeaked past that guard that worked out really well for them. But just missed it on that one.
Is this looking to be a guard?
I think so.
Looks like the weight might be up based on the hand signal I saw. Maybe not.
Saying halfway, but now it's over curling. This is some of the largest amount of curl I've seen on this side of the sheet.
Ooh, look at it go.
So that's not guarding anything. There's a run back available now. I wonder if Cameron was just a little soft on that throw.
Perhaps.
This one has to curl to half of the center line. They really need it to curl. Just misses the stone, but rolled the shooter away. So the same guard as the call here. I think a little more ice.
Uh-oh. I see somebody tumbled in another sheet. Looks like they're okay, though.
Oh, no one's worried about Graham. Everyone's worried about where the rocks were.
Yep.
I think he's okay.
These kinds of things damage one's pride more than anything. The line looks better on this one, I think.
And corrected on that.
Yeah, good placement. That should be, I guess they can still split that out of there, but things are becoming more complicated.
Yeah. The double's there. It's about 8 feet. I think this one was just tossed a little bit wide. They're going to want to roll the shooter.
Those runbacks are quite spectacular when you make them, but when you don't, it doesn't really improve your situation, unfortunately.
So another guard. I think Ian's happy to continue doing this. He's okay with the force too,
Oh, yes.
but he'd love to steal. Super's got to work hard. This one's a little lighter than Cameron, so they're trying to get every inch of distance out of it, trying to close that gap. Now, is there a hole?
It's a long way out there, and there is a hole, but boy, you don't have a lot of room to fool around.
Well, you can basically see the rock, and I think you'd have to throw the intern at it, which is the not natural way to throw this. So it'd be curling to the right, but the left-hand rock is higher. So you really do have to thread the needle on this one.
Chances are you're losing your shooter on this as well, I think.
Yeah, well, that's why the intern would be played to try and keep the shooter. Might roll over to the wings if you, at best. Scott's going to be throwing a fair amount of weight here.
This could be a nice little shot if it works out just right.
Trying to hold the line,
Ooh.
just clips that top guard.
That was really, really close. So looking to plug this hole once again.
Yeah, Ian's having to go to the other side of the sheet for the broom. So he played, it was, he's left-handed, so it was his out turn. Everyone else is in turn. And this is his in turn. For most curlers, interns curl a little more than outturns. So maybe giving Ian a little more ice than they would for other players. I know my intern curls more than my outturn.
I don't know if mine does or not. I would have to ask. I think it probably depends on whether or not I flubbed up my release.
So we got an angle run back here. It's his only option. He can't outdraw that stone. There's no way. It's on the top button.
And there's no draw path to give it a little bump, that's for sure. Like just a little soft touch. This is a tough shot. So Skip Scott McDonald delivering his last in the 6th end, looking for the angle run back to either sit one or blank the end. And while we wait for him here, I'd just like to once again thank Stanhope Simpson, Alexander Keith Brewery, and the Rockhead Wine and Beer Market for their sponsorship of this event. So he made the contact with the stone but didn't get the right angle, and Fitzner LeBlanc scores 1 point. The score after 6 ends is 4-2 for Fitzner LeBlanc. So we just have a couple of ends remaining in this game, and first up to throw is our spare Brad Wilson, who's filling in for Jeff Wilson. I'd also like to thank the curling store and Sean at Strong Coffee Media Group and Chuck from 45 North for their help in broadcasting this event. Very nice to have it available to viewers. So back 4 foot, just biting the back 4 foot with Brad Wilson's first rock. And in familiar fashion, McDonald is going to the corner guard. Beside us on sheet 5 is Team Jones and Team Smith playing. They're just finishing up their 6th end. But after the 5th, it was Jones ahead by 1 at a score of 3-2. Brad Wilson with his second one, looking to put it probably up I guess, around in the 8 foot. So Selena, I was just saying that a lot of the games are still remaining quite close in terms of score through 5 and 6 ends.
They are. We've got a lot of 1-point games. I think ours is the only one that's not.
That's right.
And it's only 2.
So it looks like McDonald is playing the double corner guard with his first 2 rocks from lead Scott Chadwick. And you see the skip with his broom down. That's exactly where he wants that rock to go. It's a great signal to see from the skip. I really like that. The sweepers know what the target is, and it helps them judge distance as they're going. And
yeah, the rings are a lot easier to judge because there's color visual
there's
markers.
A line, right? Yeah. So I really like to see when the skip does that. Just adds to the team communication.
And sometimes the sweepers miss the call. Not that they should, but
no. Or if it goes to a plan B because of weight, right? It can also help that way.
Communication is one of the most important things in curling, and it's the one of the hardest things to teach. It's easy to show, you know, how to throw a stone or how to actually sweep, but to communicate effectively and know what to say and what's useful. So I've got 2 corner guards on one side. That's the first time we've seen that today. Yeah. We mentioned that earlier, that this 5-rock rule is introducing some different options. Sometimes you'll see halfway corner guards on either side. Sometimes you'll see a tight and a far on the same side. So that's what we're seeing here. Sometimes you only see 1 corner guard called.
So Fitzner LeBlanc is sitting 2 with a tight guard out in front, which is just about to be run out of the way, I think.
And they're looking for a big roll here behind the guard and try and get a biter out of that. Oh, just
my goodness.
Actually overswept that a tiny bit. Needed to get off maybe a few feet earlier, would have taken a bit more curl.
Oh, right, overswept it before it hit.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, not the long sweep,
right.
Yeah.
I was thinking, no, I don't understand.
Overswept the shooter on the way down the ice.
Yeah. So now we have 3 guards in play on the left side of the sheet as we're looking at it now. And I think Mark Robar is being tasked with throwing up another guard. I see Jamie Murphy is on the ice again this weekend. He just had a busy weekend last week at the Masters in Truro.
Yeah, quarterfinals finished. They're in a tight game against Martin Kret, but they're sitting 4. That's going to change in a second here, though.
With Hammer. Now sitting 2 with Hammer.
Behind 2 center guards. All right. So another rock in play for Team Fitzner LeBlanc. They're just going to leave those corner guards. They haven't peeled them. They're just going to continue to clog up the center. And that didn't get 2 stones out, but left a shooter out front and spread out the yellow stones, so they're not clogging that 4-foot area anymore.
And that shooter would be usable if it doesn't get removed here. But I have a feeling.
Have a slight feeling. Now the safe way to peel that rock, it is a dangerous rock, is to hit it on the left side, the way we're looking at it. But your shooter would roll out. Yeah, you don't want to jam it. Ideally, you can hit and roll to center, but you have to push it through the pocket of yellows, and that's tough. You really don't want to jam.
That one's a little more nerve-wracking to achieve.
So what I think they're doing is actually, I think they're hitting. A little surprised at this.
They're going to poke it through the pocket, don't you think?
Well, they might be playing on the other red.
Oh. Okay.
I didn't see the indication for the actual call.
No, we haven't quite decided yet. Things look different.
Could be the same ice for both. So Cameron, the third, will go down. They have a lot of discussions, Cameron and Ian.
When the shots are a little more difficult and angles are at play, I think once in a while it's great when the thrower goes down to take a peek. I think it gives them an idea of the exact setup, because you really can't see it from this end when you're at ice level.
Yep. And you can't do it on every shot, of course.
Oh, goodness, no.
But when there's a question or when something's like a critical shot, which I think this is, that stone is in the rings.
And it's late in the game. You know, you're in your second last end.
Up 2 isn't that safe.
So the shot has changed, and it looks like a straight peel.
It's like the peel we talked about.
Has he got a piece? He does. nice. Whew, he almost clipped his own yellow on the way out, but leaves 2 sitting, and red to try to figure out how to get some points here.
It's really hard for them to use their corner guard just because that stone, that hit and roll they played really blocks the draw pass. So they're
really does.
stuck with working with the stones in the rings. You could roll big behind the guards, but you'll be way behind the tee line. So I like this call of a short hit and roll.
And then the hope would be that if they try to take it out, jams on the back yellow, I suppose.
Exactly.
Nope, now we have another conference going on. It's interesting, across many sheets there's conferences going on at this point.
Yeah, there's not a lot of stones being thrown right now. We're either between ends or having an exciting discussion about what to do. And this is Jonathan's second stone. So after this, we're down to skip stones. Team McDonald realizes they probably aren't going to blank this end, although I would suggest that maybe that could be still in the cards. Are they going to go for the draw?
To get the blank, they'd have to be trying to double those yellows out now,
Exactly.
I
I would think that it's not a bad option to double the yellows, try and slash, and I just think it's really hard to bury on this side. That rock is almost in.
This is where you'll really want to know what your end plan would be, and
Yeah.
you know, sort of review it halfway through and decide, well, do we want to blanket and hold on to hammer in the 8th, or do we want to still push hard? Because if they get 2 now, they still need to steal to win.
It might be splitting the 2. I thought maybe that would be a last rock shot. Yeah, the weight looks like for a split, doesn't it?
I don't know if he's got the line.
The come around's okay too. And it's out counting the 1 yellow on the side. And it might still be visible. It looks pretty buried though to me.
I think so as well.
Oh, that's a good shot there. Oh, we can't see much of that from the hack.
It's about 6 feet, is it, roughly between the 2 rocks. So not a lot of room to curl through.
Oh, and that was, I was saying that was Jonathan's second. It was only his first.
Oh,
They are
okay.
going for it.
Yeah.
This is Cameron's second, so he
He's going to freeze down to it,
will
isn't
try and freeze, follow him down. Sweepers don't seem to want to go on that one. They have to wait for it to break. It's going across the line now. Has to get over past the 4-foot area though. It's moving now.
Still needs to curl. There, it's going into the corner of it, I think.
That's a good shot.
Yeah. Sitting 2 now.
We're playing really tight around these guards. This is rock is probably just tucked under a little bit, so they're going to have to play it very close to the front red.
And this is less ice than what either team called on the last 2 shots.
Yes, with a little more weight.
A
I
little
think
more weight to
back
give it
12.
a kiss back or something, I think. It's curling. That one might over curl. It's really going. Looks good.
Wow. What a line call.
Whew.
That takes guts.
It sure does. I was nervous for him from up here, but he's got the better angle down there for sure.
That was a gutsy call. Good, great shot.
There are a lot of rocks on the left-hand side of that screen right now, all red. There are 2 of them right in front, but still.
Now, the interesting thing is red's now shot. They weren't before. but this one is out counting the yellow in the back 8 foot. Well, we knew Martin Crett could yell.
We knew we did.
Here's the proof.
I think he also made a pretty nice shot by the looks of it over there.
Oh, and Ian makes the double.
Beauty.
Wow.
He is sitting in a nice position down there now with 3 rocks in play and no reds in his way.
Good thing for Scott is the house is open, but he's kind of going to forget about coming around. He only has the 2 stones left, so freezing on the shot stone is the option now. Freezes are always very precise.
Very tough shot. It takes really, really good sweepers to make your freezes.
I should point out, we were talking about earlier in this end, Jamie Murphy playing Martin Crett, sitting 4 around the 4 foot. Well, after the shot Martin just threw, he's sitting 2 without hammer. The ends can change.
All his enthusiastic communication resulted well.
It worked. And this line looks nice for the freeze. It's just going to be dependent on the weight. They don't want it to bounce.
Wow.
What a good shot.
What great sweeping. I mean,
the line's it's tough. The line isn't perfect. So the perfect freeze is dead nose with no separation. Cameron's just looking if there might be a jam there. I think if you hit this really thick, it doesn't jam, but you risk not getting the stone in.
Yes, on that back yellow there, right? So it looks like a peel weight shot, of course, to wallop this out.
Yes, this will be a lot of weight here.
Is this?
Will he get the jam? Avoids it right out the side. That's
Played.
so close to being this perfect freeze, but now just has the draw for 1.
The good news is that he should know the weight and the path here. He just
Absolutely,
threw it.
same.
His sweepers are ready to go again, and he just really needs 8 foot. I think he's got lots of room to play with. Sweepers are working at this, although not frantically. Looks like it's probably pretty good.
Yeah, they seem to like it. Just heavy
Beautiful.
brush to make sure it gets in there, bites the 4. So good for the 1.
And the score would be 4-3 in favor of Fitzner-LeBlanc after 7 ends of play. Nice close game coming into the 8th end. Everybody's got to be on there, throwing their best shots now.
So 8th end, Scott McDonald Ian Fitzner LeBlanc. McDonald throwing the red stones, down 1 without hammer here in the 8th at the 2018 Dave Jones Mayflower Cashspiel, presented by Stanhope Simpson Insurance and Alexander Keith's Brewery. And you are watching us via CBC and presented by Curling Zone and Strong Coffee Media, our broadcast partner, who we're happy to have here with us. It's been an interesting and close game so far. Team McDonald with the hammer for the first few ends, and then in the back half it's been a little more Team Fitzner LeBlanc dominating, with a steal and a 6 was very important. It was would have been an opportunity to tie things up for Team McDonald, but a steal put Fitzner up 2 points.
And an attempt made at the tick shot here.
And now they want to make sure the thrown stone gets through the rings.
I think it might be nibbling in the back. That was very
Have to
close.
get at Ian about that. He could have worked harder to sweep that out.
Oh, I don't think there's any paint touching.
No.
I think it's still in play, but it's not touching.
It's jammable, though.
No, it is. We saw that earlier today. So looking for the second center guard here, I think, based on what I'm seeing for signals, although it looks like it might be a little bit heavy coming into the house, I think.
Yeah, I think so. They may as well make it a good one then. Just get it to the top 4 foot.
Make it, and it's pretty well buried. At least a little bit of poking
Yeah,
out.
it's most under. I think you can get at it with soft weight.
Oh, I think.
So this is Brad Wilson.
This is his
Super
second.
spare in for Jeff Wilson, his second stone, yeah.
And it looks like
No
a soft
relation.
weight hit, as you said.
Soft weight,
Yeah, as you anticipated.
Probably hack, maybe even board. This one's curling a lot. If they can get it by, it'll be
It's
good. They
by.
got it by. Will it jam?
Oh dear. A wee little jam. That one, is it in the paint?
I don't know. That's a tough one.
I think that one might be biting.
Well then.
That's my guess.
I love when when little rocks at the back come into play like that.
Yeah,
Except when it's against me.
that's right. If they're making somebody else's life miserable, that's okay. What?
I'm okay with the jam as long as it favors me. Aren't we all the hypocrites? And this shot looks nice. Just a freeze onto the yellow stone, but behind the guard. Really well done. That one is definitely buried. It's tough. It's going to be tough to steal because now it's peel time for Team Fitzner LeBlanc, but at least they have that one in the rings. They do have that back we think is a nibbler, but probably not going to come into play. But still a little bit of work to do. Because that stone, the top 8's not in great scoring position.
Nice clean peel there. What do you like here, Selena? Another guard?
Yeah, I think you have to continue guarding. You can't bring play into the rings just quite this soon. We're still on second stones here. So Wesley Forget with the guard, the center guard. Just noticed his shoes match his jacket.
And his broom. Those are those hardline shoes, I believe.
Oh, yes, they are.
That's good placement.
Not so worried about what it's protecting as much as the fact that it's out front and they know Ian won't leave it there. Eventually they'll have to make a play on the stones in the rings if this pattern continues. Yes, Cameron, you started last, and you are 2 ends ahead of sheet 6, or an end and a half.
Yeah. More rocks in play over there. I think we had
way more.
A few ends that were quite clean.
Yes, we've had 2 blanks and some hits. Yeah.
Less thinking time required and less travel time for the rocks as well.
So now the question comes, is that guard something to worry about? I think I would still peel it. Because now you're going to open up the rings and the chance. They're trying to get 2 yellows in the rings, but if you ever hit and lose your own yellow, then there's a draw for Team McDonald to sit buried in a better position.
What's he thinking, that he would peel both of them out and sit?
I don't think they've really talked about the peel on the front one at all. Okay, back to the peel.
Yep.
I agree with, with this entirely. Cameron's reasoning was he thinks it's too early.
Yeah.
So you can wait another shot or 2 before you start to mess things around in the rings.
And I mean, the other option would be hit your own red onto the yellow, right? Was that the other thing they were looking at?
He's got to make contact with the guard. There, and he gets it. That'll do it.
Yep.
Just. Just.
That's all you need, though. Looks like we have a game finished over on sheet 2.
Yes, and it was Francois Gagné had a wonderful shot for 3 in the 6th. I didn't see what happened in the 7th, but I'm assuming that the lead of 4 after 6, that it may have been Gagné taking that over Scott Webb. But of course, follow us on World Curl for the scores, and you can see exactly what happened because we are paying attention to sheet 4.
There's just a couple of rocks left. They're really discussing their options out here. What do you like, Selena?
Well, I think they saw a hint that Ian was going to play into the rings, so realized that they might not last another center guard, although they could place a better center guard than that last one.
But that little yellow gets pretty lonely.
Yeah, the
or the red, yeah, the red rather.
I just think you put yourself at risk. I still would probably wait and you're always playing bluff with the other team, but there's so many ways to set up a double on the Reds if you make a play right now. I think the best way to not have a double is to roll the shooter way over toward the side, but then it's not really useful. Yeah. So maybe freezing to it could be, then you might have a double on the Reds anyway, but
just bang them out. Yeah. What's the downside of the guard?
Well, then you still have to figure out what to do with this later. So this looks like ice for, it's the same ice as the guard really, but you could be playing into the rings. I think they're probably tapping the yellow, moving it around, maybe roll the shooter a little bit. I don't mind the guard here still. If you put it, the guard on the last shot was off center and it wasn't guarding their red stone, it was guarding the yellow. Or wasn't guarding anything really.
And they are in fact looking for the guard
Yeah,
based
this
on
is
what
the
I see
same.
the skip doing.
They would like this one on the center line though. They don't want to leave it open so that the entire red stone in the top 8 is accessible.
Need to sweep that. The vast majority of that red rock is open. So it looks like another guard removal here for Cameron to play.
So really wanted to roll that shooter out. I don't think that blocks the draw path, but it is something in the way. In the visual way.
Yes, in the visual way. I don't know that it'll come into play
Probably not.
at this point in the end. I think McDonald might be going for another guard.
So when they had their chat a shot ago, they likely talked about what they would do and just planned out the next couple of shots, figured the other team would peel.
And until something goes astray, you just follow your plan. And here's Scott McDonald's first as he comes out of the hack. And I think we're looking for the guard here. I think they'd like that to curl up a little bit and get a little line.
They would. They want to cross that center. But the big thing is it's guarding largely the button and the forefoot. So will Ian leave it alone now? He can access the red stone and roll his shooter to a good spot and prevent a draw from Scott. That's the key here. So the hit is the play. And they'd like to keep both yellows in.
So they're looking to hit this stone around 1 o'clock, do you think? Just to get a little flop over behind the center guard?
Just on the other side of the nose. This one's curling a lot. They don't want the shooter to roll far. Or if it does, they want it to roll really far. They only wanted that to roll like a foot or a rock. So
just a wee little over curl and it sent it a spinning, I'm afraid.
So you can see the reason that Ian wanted to keep his yellow stone there. If Scott draws around the outside, the left side, there's a short run back, and he doesn't really have anything on the other side. So this would be ideal back 4 foot, out counting that yellow, and as buried as Scott can get it. This is his last stone in the 4th.
In the 8th.
In the 8th. I'm insane.
At least you had the even number thing worked out since they're coming home.
I'm having trouble with that today. Thanks, Pam.
Now, what time is our next draw today?
It's at 4 o'clock.
Oh, very good.
They gotta go to get it there. Has to be shot. They're working it. Oh, and they just get shot. Oh.
Good thing the mate came out to get a set of fresh arms on the broom.
Oh my
there.
goodness, those sweepers worked hard on that one. So Ian has 2 options. He can slash it into the side, but that risks running the red into the side. So he's just going to tap his own up. Really only needs a couple inches.
And what was the risk there with the red, that you might hit it onto your yellow?
Well, if you slash it sideways,
Oh, it might.
you lose the shooter, you lose the yellow, and you might jam that into the side yellow. I don't know if the angle's perfect there. Our overhead is good, but it's not quite the same as being down there. Never is.
And in the end, whatever the skip wants to throw is going to be the shot that he's most committed to.
They're calling this back line through, which might be too much, but it really came down at the end. So a good shot from Ian Fitzner to take the win, and that'll make it a 5-3 victory. And we will catch you back here at 4 o'clock, and we should be featuring Power versus Oulette. And that'll be all from us for now. So on behalf of Pam Sullivan and myself, Selena Thompson, thank you for joining us
That was a great
at
afternoon.
the 2018 Dave Jones Mayflower Cashspiel, presented by Stanhope Simpson Insurance, Alexander Keith's Brewery, and brought to you by Curling Zone and Strong Coffee Media.